Namaste, I'm Dr. Robert, and today my subject on 5-ish Minutes with Dr. Robert is placating Rahu and Saturn. Now, some people may ask, why talk about placating Rahu and Saturn? The number one reason is that in Jyotish we say that Rahu behaves like Saturn. The number two reason is that both Rahu and Saturn aggravate Vata. They aggravate the unbalanced life force in the organism. So just from the physiological point of view, whenever Rahu or Saturn is afflicted in your chart, for whatever reason, there is a good chance that Vata will get aggravated. Now, the interesting thing is that Rahu and Saturn affect Vata in two different ways. Saturn is very constricting, very astringent, very stuck, very encouraging things to not move. And when things don't move, when there's any kind of obstruction in the free movement of the life force, of the prana, of the breath, of the movement of the blood in the circulatory system, or nerve impulses in the nervous system, there will be some kind of Vata aggravation, often some kind of neurological problem, but in the case of the lymph system or the circulatory system, some kind of congestion in which diseases can be generated. So Saturn creates constriction. Rahu has the other effect. Rahu is a head with no body. And so it's always looking around. It's extending itself so far externally that it goes away from its internal core focus, and then your body's life force, the prana, has no focus, and then it can go in all directions. Mostly what will happen is that it will get stuck in your head, and remember, this is because of spending too much time on your screen. The more time you do that, the more you're up in your head, and the rest of your body, including your samana, your digestive power, and apana that discharges, expels things from your body, those are not going to work as well. And when those don't work as well, everything will get disturbed in your organism. So both Rahu and Saturn are going to aggravate Vata, and both Rahu and Saturn are going to aggravate your mind because Vata has a strong influence on your mind. So the best way to control both of them is, number one, to remain calm. Number two, anything that controls Saturn is going to control Vata, meaning apply oil, make sure that you don't get cold, make sure you don't get constricted, but also make sure, in the case of Rahu, that you are not overdoing the screens, that you're not staying up late at night, that you're not paying attention to every notification as soon as it comes in. Do not keep engaging your dopamine system with the reward that you get from paying attention to what is going on your social media. Maintain a certain degree of equanimity, and that will benefit both Rahu and Saturn. Now, it just so happens, for those of you who are interested in Jyotish, that on March the 29th of 2025, Rahu and Saturn are going to both be present in Pisces. And right around April the 13th and 14th, they are going to cross over one another. And this means that the influence of the two of them is going to be magnified because they're going to be reinforcing one another. And in fact, they're going to remain in Pisces until the first part of May. So the first thing to do, remain calm. And the second thing to do, make sure that during that period, you put in extra time to not be too busy, to not overschedule yourself, to not try to overexpand or overconstrict in either direction. And you can, of course, also do all the kinds of astrological things you can to assist Rahu and Saturn, and that includes being of service to someone who requires service, especially on Saturdays. So whenever Rahu or Saturn is activated in your chart, and on moments like this, when Rahu and Saturn are going to be together activated in the sky, it is very important to try to avoid having Vata getting aggravated, because it's much easier to deal with the prevention of Vata than it is to bring it back into balance. This is Dr. Robert wishing everyone a very balanced Vata.